Palworld is dead. It's well on its way to the end stages of its hype, and it's time for us to reflect. Was it actually a fun game, or were we all blinded by the hype thrown on us by famous streamers? Palworld did everything a survival game should do. It was challenging enough to keep you entertained, had enough new mechanics that were complex, yet didn't leave you pulling your hair out, and a fun enough game that it made you want to play all over again the next day. But the game has been out for almost a month now, and the hype is seriously starting to die down. At its all-time peak, Palworld would amass 2 million concurrent players at one point, and as of yesterday, February 12, 2024, it hit an all-new time low in its player count since its launch. So the question is Palworld dead? Stick around to the end of the video to see how I think Palworld can be saved before it's too late. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything it did right. Palworld's PAL, being the main focus of the game, brought this whole masterpiece together. They didn't push the PALs off to the side or make them completely overpowered. They fit in like a puzzle piece into the survival genre. Like comparable titles in the franchise, these PALs were the perfect assistance to increase the progress one could make in a survival game. The new open world filled with discoverable PALs and immersive dungeons and bosses made the game feel like a brand new adventure we had never seen before. Every boss fight, every new PAL, every new location felt like a brand new element that we hadn't felt in a while in gaming. The timing of gameplay also felt amazing. No early, middle, or end game felt too long like other franchises in the genre. One could play at their own pace and still make achievements without ever feeling like they didn't have something to do next. But being an early access game, this game still had a lot of flaws in it. One huge killer of the hype for sure was the bugs and issues present. Countless people were unable to play simply because of server issues and corrupt game files. I had seen multiple people complain about their saves being bricked while playing multiplayer and never wanting to play again after losing their progress, especially for the Xbox community. The feedback I've gotten from my Xbox fanbase is always complaining about how little actions or areas just make their games crash completely no matter what they do. Another was people not having anything to do once they reach the end game. Once you complete the towers and capture all the bosses, you don't really have much left to do. Of course, there's base building and making overpowered PALs, but then what? You already finished, why keep playing a completed save? Something else that hurt it was the countless Pokemon stands always constantly bashing on the game, which eventually wore the community out of even trying to fend off the hate. The huge controversy behind stolen assets and ideas also dragged down the game a lot. There was that whole ordeal with the AI issues people were annoyed about, with the stolen assets that they had from a similar title. I'm confidently able to say I'm one of the biggest Pokemon fans pre-Gen 4, and I still think after my recency bias goes away that Palworld will cement itself as being 10 times better than the recent garbage Game Freak has been feeding the community. Yeah, of course it's going to draw comparison being a companion monster open world RPG, but the unnecessary hate it draws is just annoying. They're not comparable in gameplay whatsoever. Even with all its flaws and bugs, the gameplay it introduced us to was just something we hadn't felt in a long time. It was the perfect game to feed our inner 13-year-old that wanted our starter to have a pump shotty. What can actually save Palworld? Palworld is an early access title, meaning far from finished. All it needs is some tweaks with bugs that are in the game and exploits. If this would have been released as a non-early access game, completely polished, I believe that the player count would have been higher than it is right now. Of course, it's lacking in some things that can be fixed over time, but for the most part, the things I'm going to list are things that would just improve replayability in the game. If we could have some sort of UI for PAL interactions with our base, such as assigning to different stations or assembly lines, it would elevate the base aspect of the game. Of course, in the roadmap they announced a week after the game came out, they discussed the moves they're making to implement PvP, raid bosses, and improved gameplay for the Xbox users. The devs also announced all the funding they launched just to help us improve the game. And as far as modding goes, they still haven't even implemented the Steam Workshop. As of right now, there is no stable mod support that we know of other than Nexus and CurseForge. Modding was a huge part of other titles like Ark that we still haven't even gotten a full taste of. Currently, all this game needs right now, to be honest in my opinion, is new content. Like how Ark used to release new maps with new guardians and bosses, Palworld can do the same thing to keep it fresh. I'd love to have a new map to explore, new pals to find, and new events to experience for the first time. All this game needs now to be saved is content and bug fixes. There's pretty much nothing else to it. I loved playing this game for this whole month, and not once did I feel it was missing something. Now I just need my next entry in this series to keep enjoying the wonderful publication Palworld has offered us. I think Palworld completed the inner wonder of our child's brain. It was an amazing experience to go through, and I just wish I could erase my memory and go through it all over again for the first time. There's not much in my opinion that needs to be changed to save Palworld other than new content and minor fixes. But what do you guys think? Is it the end of Palworld, or can the devs save the wonderkin they made? Leave a like if you enjoyed, share with a friend, and I hope you guys have a good one.